Welcome to the Boricua Culture Mix. I'm one of your hosts, Wilma Lebron Moore.
And I'm Diane Rivera.
And this is where la isla meets the diaspora.
Échate pa' acá,
te hice
café.
café. Hola, hola. Welcome back to the Boricua Culture Mix pod. I'm one of your hosts, Wilma Lebron Moore.
Y aquí, por aquí, yo sí, Rivera, Diane. Yo no sé, yo siempre digo el nombre y se me
Los dos
olvida, como que
nombres
yo
siempre.
Yeah, las dos personalidades juntas.
Listen, it's always however you feel this day, you know, and I'm okay with Josie, Diane, because Diane is a little more spicy, so I'm always loving when Diane is here.
You're right. Y yo creo que hoy va a tener un poquito de las dos.
I love that for us. But yes, this has been a great week, Josie. We have had a lot to do.
Yes.
A quick check-in. It's we're heading into the fourth week of February. The year is going by.
Pero ¿dónde estamos? ¿Qué está pasando con 2026? Va a las millas.
La muchacha. Like, we're about to enter March. That is nuts.
Crazy.
That is nuts.
¿Y tú sabes qué? Y hablando de March, ¿tú sabes que en March nosotros cumplimos qué?
A year. We are 1
¿Qué?
year old. I can't wait for our 1 year birthday party.
It's a thing, okay? It's a thing.
It's going to happen. We're going to celebrate bien Puerto Rican style. I'm talking about we're taking a nap in the middle of the day.
I'm done.
I want piñatas. I want a birthday cake, everything. I listen, we're going to have it. We're going to get the details together. We're going to celebrate because we deserve.
Yeah. Pero es algo que no puede faltar, ¿verdad?
Diga.
La música.
Yes.
Porque la música es lo que nos conecta a todos, right?
For sure.
Y esta semana ha sido una semana de música por todos lados. I think we have been exposed to music in so many ways, ¿verdad?
For sure.
Y, Wema, ¿cómo estuvo tu semana con la música? Vamos a empezar por ahí.
Well, impromptu, I get a nice little text message like, "Oh, Premio Lo Nuestro is on," and I was like, "What?" And I was able to I didn't watch the full show. And then I saw while I was watching que le iban a un homenaje a Arcángel, and I was like, he's really been on world tour. Like, I love this for him. That was a really great performance. The standout was Jay Wheeler for me.
Yes.
I need him to I need them to have that version out.
Me too. He did an amazing. Hizo el cover de Amar a Ciegas, que es una de las canciones más bellas que tiene Arcángel. Pero tú pues sabes que, Wilma, que Arcángel nunca se había ganado un premio en Lo Nuestro.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I never knew.
So le hicieron este homenaje sin él haber ganado nunca un premio en Lo Nuestro.
Y no,
That's crazy, right?
Que dijo eran bien linda. Like, the words he said, like, he was both happy and sad because not everybody who he had during his career were there to see it. He's been doing a lot of reflection, and it's been like really, it's been really, como se dice, like, just really refreshing to see that. Yeah, especially from like a men's perspective, like that level of emotional intelligence to sit there and be like, listen, I'm both happy and sad, like, and those two things can exist. And speaking of two things that can exist at the same time, a pioneer of the salsa genre passed away, Willie Colon en Lo Odio. And I'm a little conflicted.
Wilma.
Listen.
¿Por qué?
Because, like I said, two things can exist in the same time. Yes, he was an amazing pioneer of this genre that I love, this genre that was passed down by my parents, right? This genre that has connected me to the island and my culture. And for the last 10, 15 years, he didn't say the most nicest things and was very ultra conservative and held really conflicting views from mine. And so it's really hard to be like, just simply say, okay, the content, especially because in our culture, we like to sanctify people and not tell a full story of a person. That's where I'm at with it. So may he rest wherever he's at.
Eso es así. Eso es verdad. Pero tú sabes, tenemos que darle siempre como tú dijiste, todo lo que hizo por la música, hizo un legado muy grande y muy importante. Y tú sabes, eso es algo que siempre tenemos que respetar, ¿verdad?
Claro que
y hablando de eso,
girl,
ayer,
we was outside.
We were out and about, ¿verdad?
For sure.
¿Dónde nosotros estábamos ayer? ¿Dónde estábamos?
Listen, at this point, me and you just need to get a membership because we was at Taller Puertorriqueño again for a great event. And so I am super excited because this episode isn't just me and you talking. We're going to be
No.
introducing our guest. And Josie, I sent this to you because it got sent to me like 4 or 5 times. And they were like,
Mm-hmm.
Wilma, this is happening. Are you going to be there? And I don't know if I'm just like the resident like Puerto Rican event person now, but I'll take it. I'll take it because it's been connecting me to really, really dope people. And so I'm looking and it's like a minute shot of like a documentary or like a screening of some sort. So I'm looking and I'm like, oh, this is great. And it's like, it's going to happen the 21st of February at Taller Puertorriqueño. And I'm like, bet I'm there. And so a sorority sister of mine was like, "Hey, I'm coming from AC. You're still in Philly, right? Like, are you going to this so we can connect?" I'm like, "Absolutely." I was like, "Me and my co-host will be there, so that we like make sure that we like connect while we're there." And who we're talking about is a young man born and raised from North North, okay, North Philly, super talented, and it's putting together this amazing project that we can't wait to get into, discuss all of the things that it touches. So without further ado, Aunt, can you please introduce yourself and let people know where they can find you?
Of course. It's such a dope honor to be here with y'all. I love the back and forth. I love the camaraderie between y'all. It's amazing to see. Shout out to the
Thank you,
booties that's
thank you.
holding it down. First and foremost. Again, thank y'all for having me. Yeah, so my name is Aunt Rivera. I'm a North Philly boy, to the day that I died, to the day that I in transition. Grew up right on Second and Lehigh, put it on for, the culture. And, I love to say that I'm an image maker, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller, I'm also an educator, working
Yes.
for WHYY. But, I live today to tell the stories of my people that look like me, that have been, going through some things, and that need their story to be told. And I'm also telling stories of Bomba, of music, of resistance, of revolution, right? And all the ways that honor Black
Yes,
Boricuas
yes.
and
And
our
where can the
existence
people
in this
find
world.
you to connect with
Of
you?
course. Instagram at Aunt M Vivera. TikTok at Aunt Manuel, at Aunt Manuel. It's kind of weird because you got the at Aunt, but Aunt Manuel on TikTok, Aunt M Rivera on Instagram. And then if you're on LinkedIn, you never know who's out there. You know,
Right,
You're
right,
right,
right.
you're right, you're
Anthony
right.
Rivera for
Not the full
the
name.
full name is out there. So that's where people can check us out. And if you want to know more about the film, La Lengua del Tambor is the Instagram page, where we will be posting updates around what we got going on with current, just current things, and welcoming again the community into the process.
For sure, for sure. So, and me and Josie and our friends and our pop producer, one of our pop producers, aka her fiance, was there. And before we get into anything, I just want to say that it was such a treasure
Mm,
to be in the room
mm,
Mm-hmm.
and receive the visions that you've put together, because you gave us 3 clips and we'll get into the how the rest of the night went.
mm,
But it was absolute treasure to be among like-minded folks. You can see how it was connected with people, how some people couldn't stay still in their seats, and
Yep.
got up, and others just like was processing what they were seeing and like the messages that were being said.
mm,
So shout out to you before we get away into
mm.
full deep conversations. It's important to know that this work is so necessary,
Oh shit.
and thank you for putting the lens and the language
Mm,
together for us so that we can see how we can continue to support this and move it forward, and we'll get into that as well. But I will be remiss to not start that conversation with saying this.
I received that. That's what it's that's exactly what I hope people could just take away from it. The power that was in the room yesterday, the power of community. So thank you for saying that. That makes me feel super, super, super honest, super, super grateful. We did it, and I'm excited to get into it.
For sure, for sure. So the film is La Lengua del Tambor, and the curation of the event, Josie and I were talking, and we were just like, we love the flow of it,
Mm.
right? And for those
Mm-hmm.
who weren't there, and you know, who knows that there might be like other versions of like screenings, and because I'm manifesting everything, I'm world tours for you all across the
Yes, we
board.
welcome that. We
Yes,
welcome all that
yes.
energy for sure.
So first and foremost, I always love going to Talleres events because you know they keep the Julia de Burgos bookstore
Mhm.
open. There's food. We were able to get some coffee by Coqui Coffee, which was really dope because I've been wanting to try
Mm.
them. Our friend Amy, friend of the pod, Amy was
Yes.
there giving her
Yes.
samples out,
Yes.
and just other vendors we were able to connect with. Los Bomberos de la Calle. Shout out to Mr.
Yeah.
Tony and his
Yes,
family.
sir.
Mm-hmm.
And also Lo Bull, their temple. I was like, who are these people? I need to know more. So like it was really, really dope. And I was telling Josie while I was there, it's so funny that they're an extension from Temple because I remember growing up listening to El Viaje from Temple,
Mm.
where music like Afro jazz, guaguancó, salsa would be played for hours. And it was like the one time I was able to stay up.
Mm.
And that was also a way that I connected with the culture because that's where my parents got to be just regular people
Mm.
and speak about Puerto Rico and speak about their growing up. And
Yeah.
I got to see them less as who they are in service of me, but more of just who they are as just two people
I
together.
love that.
So it was like a really great connection to have
Mm.
that together.
Mm.
Y Josie, ¿cómo tú lo viste? ¿Cómo tú te sentiste?
Tell me, tell me, tell me.
Mira, mira, te voy a ser bien honesta.
Mm.
Yo ¿sabes? Siempre que yo voy al taller me siento como que ese pedacito de Puerto
Mm.
Rico, ¿verdad? Como si tú
Mm,
estuvieras en la isla, porque
Mm.
es el cariño de la gente, el trato, la comida,
Mm.
of course, a Amy estando allí, ver diferentes grupos, como las esencias,
Mm.
ver la cultura, cómo sigue viva,
Mhm.
¿verdad?
mhm,
In the spaces, and it's like, wow, like we are the ones carrying now, ¿verdad? Esa de seguir con la cultura viva y ver
Mm. Yeah.
generaciones,
Mm.
generaciones tan jóvenes,
Mm.
verlos haciendo este trabajo, it was
Mm.
so, me llenó, se me infla el corazón, como yo digo, right? Because it's like, wow, like this is such an amazing
Mm.
thing to see, que mucha gente lo más probable doesn't even know that that's
Yeah.
happening,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the craziest thing. It's like this needs more exposure. This
Yeah.
needs to be out there for people to know, like, hey, este proyecto te identifica,
Mm.
¿verdad? Tú eres como, y tú dijiste esto mucho ayer,
Mhm.
like, you know, you guys are
Yeah.
co-producers of
Yeah.
this with me. And I think the community needs to know more de estos eventos que pasan, de lo que se está generando en sus comunidades, so that way they can feel more of like that sense of like, I'm home. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, y eso fue lo que yo sentí ayer, desde la música, el baile, la bomba, que mucha gente, yo creo que estos últimos años, yo creo que Benito le dio esa exposición
Mhm.
internacional en términos de lo que es la plena, la
Mm.
bomba, el sonido auténtico de Puerto Rico. Yo creo que ahora está más expuesto a nivel internacional, pero es the way of like, vamos a estudiarlo,
Mm.
right? Vamos a ver de dónde viene esto.
Yeah.
Yo creo que estás haciendo un excelente trabajo con este film, que we're going to talk more and more about it.
Mhm,
But,
mhm.
you know, what I took yesterday, like, I was telling Wilma, you know, yo me nací y crié en la isla.
Mhm.
Y yo vengo del sur de la isla. Y es bien diferente cuando hablamos, básicamente en la lengua del tambor se habla mucho sobre la ciudad de Loíza,
Mhm.
del pueblo de
Mm.
Loíza. Y vamos a hablar un poquito más de esto, ¿verdad? Pero para ponerlo en contexto for the people that are
Mm.
listening, Loíza es el centro de Puerto Rico, you know, el corazón de Puerto Rico,
Mm.
y muchas veces, muchos de los que vivimos ahí, nunca llegamos a visitarlo, ¿verdad?
Mhm.
O nunca nos dio, la educación que se nos dio sobre Loíza fue bien diferente
Yeah.
a lo que es Loíza, right? So I just wanted to put it out there because I learned, being Puerto Rican, I learned so much yesterday. So I'm super excited for this conversation that we're going to have today to people to continue to learn
Mm.
and see que hay más en la historia que no sabemos,
Mm.
que debemos
Absolutely.
aprender,
Mm.
you know?
So, and the film is called La Lengua del Tambor, or The Language of the Tambor. And tell the people, how did this concept come to be?
Mhm.
The labor of love and years that you've probably already put into it, and where are we in this space
Mhm. Mhm.
after the screening,
Mm.
after the initial screening,
Yeah.
because again, we're gonna speak into existence, there's gonna be many more.
That's it.
So
That's it.
first and foremost, the concept and the labor of love, and that
Of
process.
course, of course. Conception definitely came from me trying to just figure out a way to tell a documentary about the Isla, but trying to do it in a way that is in alignment with the work that I've been committed to just as a filmmaker. Most of the things that I've
Mm,
touched is revolutionary or spirit led, or it's talking about blackness, or it's talking about Latinidad. And I was coming from a project where I was initially a director, and then I switched positions to be a cinematographer and a producer of a film called a documentary actually titled My Mother Mary, and it talks about the revolution of Grenada that happened in the 70s,
mm,
and it's about overthrowing government, dealing with democratic republics and stuff like that, and dealing with genocide, right? And one of the biggest things that I learned from that project was, wow, like there's a lot of power in telling the story of the people that are born in the Caribbean, because it's the connection.
Mhm.
It's like that middle ground between Africa and and America, right? So for me, being a Puerto Rican boy growing up, it was no brainer that I had to tell a story around Puerto Rican culture. Um, but it gave me the thirst and desire to do more groundwork, right? To ask more questions around what is Puerto Rico's identity. You know, what's going on in the Eli, what was going on in the plantations and the sugarcane fields, right? Like that was important. And then upon research, you always hear the rhythms of Bomba, what music is. So it was a no-brainer that I needed to tell the story of Bomba. And I think that my spiritual relationship with this film also came to be because I tell people, I don't think I got to say this yesterday at the event, but my first being a Lukumi Aborisha, which is just a follower of Orisha, um, when I go to Bembes, which is like a drumming, right? I walk
mm,
into a space and everybody is wearing all white, everybody is greeting the drum, everybody's dancing in front of the drum,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it reminded me of like, oh, this is what my grandmother used to do, right? Oh, this is what the music in my house growing up, we listened to. So it was like this connection. But the difference between that was that this was Yoruba, right? It wasn't
Mm,
necessarily Puerto
Right.
Rican. So bomba is a
Yeah.
particular dance between drummer and the dancer. As the dancer moves, the drum follows. There's a conversation. In terms of Bembe, you are dancing an Orisha song, and you dancing to the beat of the drum. So I thought it was really really important to connect, one, the roots of what bomba is, coming from, like you was just saying, like Loíza being the heart of Puerto Rico, which is also the blackest part of Puerto Rico, and then tying that
mm,
Yes.
into migration. Why migration matters, because that's where I come into play, right? That's how I could contextualize my own story and my mother's story. Um, and allowing us to see ourselves in ways that we never been shot before, seen before in film. So it was important for me to honor North Philly traditions, North Philly
mm.
bodies, and just try to connect that
And they
story.
was there on the bikes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the taste, and I love, and we definitely gonna get into it, but I love what yesterday was, because again, I got to invite you guys into a process that is a proof of concept. So it's like, this is the idea. Imagine what I could do when we all come together and really put our money where our mouth is, so I could go back and do the work
Yes.
and then come back to y'all to be like, yo, I
Mhm.
did it. Now let's go see what we really did. You know what I mean? So
I
Yeah.
sorry for
love
the
it.
long-winded answer, but there's so
No,
many.
you good, you
So
good.
that was conception, and I think yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the next question was, where do we go? Like, where are we at now with everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so right now, in terms of the logistical things, in terms of the film, we are basically, we have a solid rough cut, right? So last year I received some independent, I received some grants. I had like 10K to play with. And with the 10K, I was able to hire a producer. I was able to go out to Puerto Rico with my uncle, where we was able to sit with Samuel Lynn and interview him. We was also able to connect
Yes.
with
We love seeing that.
yeah,
Like that's so much importance, right? Because his art speaks by
yeah,
itself.
yeah,
Beautiful,
yeah.
right? And so it's very nice to see that that's being
It's like
exposed.
you can't tell the story without the people that's been preserving the culture.
For
Exactly,
sure.
exactly.
And someone is such a living legend. And so
Hmm.
like to be and he's such a humble human
So
being.
humble.
I got to
So
meet him
humble.
last year. And again, one of God's favorite diasporicans. Because that came to be just on a whim. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't the plan. I just so happened to be at the right place in Loíza at the right time
Yeah.
and was able to
I
meet
love
him.
that. I
And
love that.
he opened us up to his art studio, his home. And so when I saw him speaking in the film, it transfixed me
Mm.
back to that time because that's just who he
It
is,
is.
right?
That's
Like
natural. Yeah.
he's so he radiates so much to even speak about his art, the why, but just bigger than that, the conversation that you caught on film
Mm.
was the importance of my art is me, my art is my representation,
Yes.
and who are you to
Mm-hmm.
tell me that I'm too
Mm.
ethnic
Mm.
to not be just as famous? This man has murals all over this
All over
country.
this all over this world. And we talking
Right,
about you
all
two ethnic?
right. And I love how he said
Right, right.
and but and even now to this day he is so pivotal in Puerto Rican art, but even in Loíza, like when I was able to have a conversation with him,
Yeah.
we talked about like the Carita Linda picture of
Mm.
like when Rao had reached out to him
Yeah.
because of his son.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, real matter of fact, like, yeah, he was over here and did it. And it was just like, you don't know you bigger than the pro. Like, you really that
Like you
dude.
really that guy. No,
Like,
it's a blessing and it's an honor, first and foremost, to walk into a Samuel Lynn studio. And
for
being a
sure.
North Philly boy, you grow up in, housing that is not too beautiful. So you are always trying to figure out the next move and you in the bubble. Who would have thought that little old, growing up, I would be connecting with somebody like a Samuel Lynn with my type of story growing up in North Philly as a boy and being able to go back to the Igla where my family, lineage is from, right? And then sit in Samuel Lynn's studio as also like a
Mm,
spiritualist, because he's also a spiritualist.
right.
And you
Yes.
walk in his
Yes.
shop and you feel the
You
energy,
feel the energy. You
not
feel
of
it. You
of the
feel it.
ancestors that's present, of him being just somebody that's so like walk in like any type that, like any time. Like it was such a poetic journey just to be able to do something like that and not only highlight him but to also build relationship and community with the elder, right? Like that's important. It's not a
Mm,
lot of people when it comes to production, it's like a one shop thing. I'm a set up shop, I'm gonna film you, thank you, I'm gonna pay you, we're gonna sign a contract, and I'm gonna let you know when the film is over. The difference
right.
between what I'm doing is I got Samuel a number. Like this is my uncle.
He's the padrino
Yeah,
now.
like we move, like we doing the work together. And when I definitely remember the last time I was at Puerto Rico, I always visit him, always show him updates of the film, and I just remember him
Mm,
smiling. I just remember him being in joy, tan enamorado
yeah.
with the concept of how much I'm taking from the Tainos and the Blackness, right, and honoring him in that way.
Yeah.
And he gave me his blessing. He gave me the flowers, and for someone of that stature, somebody that understands land, understands connection, identity, to give you as a young filmmaker, like, yo, you doing it and continue do it. Like I'm honored to be interviewed by you. That is a moment that I will cherish forever. I got a painting from him. It's in my home.
That's so
So
beautiful.
it's
Love
it's
that.
a it's a
Love that.
memory that's definitely where it's at. So I am grateful to do that, but also like connection in the because I never been to Loíza before, so it was really important for me to be in community with people that I do work with. So that's how you
For
get the
sure.
collaboration between me and somebody like Amina, right? Amina Jackson, who lives in Loíza for the past 4 to 5 years, and who's a beautiful curator dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
amazing talent.
yeah, like
Amazing talent. I have to
Dope
say,
dope
vibes. She's
vibes,
he's
also
great
the
super
MC of the
dope.
energy.
night.
Facts,
Yeah.
Yes.
MC, shout out to
Yes.
that. You feel me? just a beautiful spirit. And when you walk, when you are in community with people like that, you remember it, and then you when you have an opportunity to co-create, you honor that, and you allow spirit to just do what it needs to do. So that was my connection in, and it allowed me to really absorb the beauty of what Loíza is, while also doing the
Mm.
understanding of,
Mhm.
the pueblo, and like what it looked like, the agriculture, the history, and then painting that back over. So what it is, so with the money, we ended up interviewing him. We also ended up interviewing my uncle Lucas Rivera out there,
Mm-hmm.
in front of San
That was
Valencio.
beautiful to see as
Yeah,
well.
like that. It was just a full
Yeah.
circle moment. And to be transparent, I shared a little bit about this, but growing up, my real father was never in my life. So my uncle Lucas
Mm.
is the brother to my real father. For context,
Wow.
through art, I get to meet who my uncle Lucas is. 3 years
Wow.
ago, I'm
That's
25.
dope.
So at 22, I'm building a relationship with an uncle that's been doing the work that I'm now committed to for years. And we are
Wow.
connecting on this idea that I have around Bomba. And we also get to
Mm.
talk about real life shit. I don't know if we could curse on here.
Yeah, you can. You
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
I curse all the
Well, okay, bet, bet, bet. We get to we,
time.
we get to talk about.
Josie be trying to grab me by my ear. I'd be like, shit.
Yeah, we talk about real life shit. Like, we don't shy away from those hard conversations of family dynamics, because it's important if we are making art together, right? If we are creating poetry together, it's important to understand the
And your
dynamic.
truth, right? Like it's
Exactly.
also
That's
your truth, and those real
authenticity
dynamics is
matters,
important.
especially in this day and age. Authenticity is everything. Like, period. So, then we came back to Philly. We interviewed Edie Brown, who's somebody
Mm.
that's,
Oh my
oh my
God.
God, like
That's yes. Yes.
preserving
I just mhm.
agriculture.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like
And that was her last night next to me. Hmm. Yes.
I love it. I love it. And like that, the little bit that I have, that's what I've shown. I have more footage that I'm working with. Obviously, I was recording
That's
in
awesome.
El Iman and Piñones. I was getting a lot of footage out there. I was getting obviously some footage in Loíza with the Bomba Yamoya, who's a Bomba group in Puerto Rico. I was
They're gorgeous. Oh my God,
beautiful,
they're
beautiful,
amazing.
beautiful
Amazing. When
spirit.
I saw them on camera, I said, oh, okay. We got the real deal. Got it. Heard
I
you.
love it. And we starting like that too. And as a filmmaker of the project, that sequence is so long. Like, and there's an
Mm.
intention. Like, I didn't wanna, Campo, the Bomba song, I didn't want to translate it. If you knew what they were saying, then you understood what they were
Exactly.
saying. And that slow
Yeah. Yeah.
motion, for me as a director and cinematographer, allows you to sit with the movement of the body as you hear me literally saying, if it's not like for Bomba, I would literally die. So those are things that I put together in
Mm.
terms of filmmaking, but going forward, the conversation now becomes larger, because as we do showcase the marketing, right, with TikToks and social media, people now are engaged and want to see more, and that allows the space to
Yeah.
open up. So now we
Mhm.
have access to some founding families in Puerto Rico that we now got to go down there and interview, like the Ayalas and the Cepeda family,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yes, yes.
Then we
That's
also
awesome.
You
need,
shared that
that's
last night, and I was like,
exactly,
okay,
so
yep,
that's the
mm-hmm. That's
type of
exactly where we need to go.
exactly, that's the type of footage that needs to exist to tell this story. Also, the archivist, right? That's the person that's going to connect the slave trade to Puerto
Mm.
Rico. Also, talking about the Tainos, the Arawak people that was there preserving the island before we were colonized, right? And then when the Africans
Mm.
came, this resistance that of revolutionary music now has came, and how we migrated then from being in the plantations to now trying to find economic mobility in the states, right?
Yeah.
Because of like the Jones Act. So now we get all these Puerto Ricans coming into the
Yeah.
Bronx, coming into Fairmount,
Philly.
Fairmount area, specifically in Philadelphia. So somebody to contextualize that is also a key component in this film because that allows the history to speak, right? So there's no
For
confusion
sure.
because a lot of these people who are telling these stories could be biased or subjective. But one of the beautiful
Mm.
things is when you have somebody who study, you can't argue with facts. So when I'm telling you that the black people came from X,
People
Y,
still
and
try.
Z, exactly. So I'm like, that's what's gonna anchor everything. So that's where we at with it. And I'm just super I'm just over the moon right now. The feedback that I'm getting, the love that I'm getting between you guys, and just like my phone is constantly buzzing right now from people
I love that for
reposting,
you.
just sharing it, man. Like it was a blessing to see. It was a blessing to be acknowledged in that way, but also to know that I'm doing, it's one thing to do it, but it's another thing to receive, like Loíza. I want Loíza to be proud of me. I want North Philly to be proud of me. That's
Mm.
big.
Yeah, I mean those three clips that you shared last night with Don Samuel, Tio Luca, and Doña Ivy,
Hmm.
like I was talking to Josie in our pre-pod production. It was just like it is so important to be able to give them their flowers and share their stories and the things that they all had to say. But it was also beautiful to see how they reverence themselves despite
Mm.
what um the stigmas that had been from where they at, from what they look like,
Talk
right?
about
Like
it.
that night, my eyes got swelled up when Miss Edie was talking because I was just like, wow,
Mm. Mm.
that is a story of my grandmother. That is the conversations that we had and did not have because also past traumas, right? Like this is important because a lot of our story isn't always passed down, right?
That part.
Because there's like blockages and
Yeah,
challenges, because it becomes too painful to talk
that
about.
part.
People just think, and I love that you're doing the migration because people just think that Puerto Ricans just one day decided to leave, and it's just like, no, there was
Yeah,
so much going
yeah. So
on.
much, so
Like
much, so much
like
happening.
my mom and dad would definitely have been on the island had it not been for poverty,
Yeah.
right? And the lack of and why that is. So I really, really love that you're gonna give those elements and just those three
Mm.
pieces that you gave us was just good enough to want
That's
more.
it.
That is important, right? Like
That's it.
I think that you guys have a great project on your
Thank
hands.
you.
And we really want it to just flourish and just do and grow to all of your things.
Gracias, gracias.
um I wanted to get into that because I think this question stemmed from a question that the young lady asked during your Q&A.
Mm.
And I think what she tried to ask, it was hard for her to get in that moment as she was walking and talking at the same time.
Yeah.
But because when she asked it, I was like, I had reached over to Josie and I was like, I think this is what she
Mm.
means. But I was like, but we can ask him later.
That part, that part.
So, you talked about, and thank you for sharing also about like your spirituality
Yeah.
with Lukimi, and how that also ties into the film, right?
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask about the sacredness and the protection of
Mm.
what you're going to be showing. How do we protect traditions like this from being misused, diluted, or commercialized by the people that they don't belong to once the visibility grows?
That question wasn't in the pre call. I'm just letting y'all know. But look, okay, okay,
That's how it
we
came from
getting
last
we getting
night.
right
Like
into it. We getting right into it. To
it came from last night. I promise. Because when the young lady asked like
Yeah,
some type of version of it,
yeah.
and I was like, I think this is what she
This is the
means.
intention. This is
Um,
this is where we
yeah.
going with it.
Like if I was sitting closer to, I would have like revised it for
Yeah,
her
and this is
and
the
been like, ask him
revised
this
version. So
way.
shout out to you, sis, because we got the revised version right here. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. But nah, being a filmmaker, you have to be authentic when it comes to
Mm,
spirituality and when it comes to something like Bomba. Because what often happens is people who think that they know certain things or is caught
mm,
up in their way of ego and pride, they oftentimes tend to tell repetitive narratives or narratives that don't have substance, right?
mm,
So what that looks like in real time is when you talk about bomba, when you talk about the drum, when you talk about these traditions, right? Where do they come from? They come from the motherland with the mixture of the Taino people that was there, right? How do
There's a history.
That's
There's a
history,
history there.
facts
Yeah.
again, right? You can't argue
Hmm.
with facts. Now, how do you do that in a space like Taye? What does honoring blackness look like in today's language? And I know this is not the
Mm.
visual component, but this is how you shy away from being trying to put up a persona for society norms, right? When I invited that elder E.I. Cheryl to do libations,
Yeah.
that's how you honor African tradition the right way. um that's how you honor an elder who's been doing this work more than I've been alive, right? Priest
Mm.
Aganyu, who's an Orisha for 30 plus years, who understands the importance of tradition, community, belonging, ritual. You can only get wisdom from elders. So it's important to allow them to exist also in your board when you are telling these stories to get access to information, right? So on a
Mm.
basic level, if you are telling a story without the framework of an elder, I think that is the wrong. You're in the wrong right
Ooh.
there. Period. Anything.
Yeah, yeah. And
But yep, talk to me.
no, yeah, no, no. I was gonna say, and that how you're doing it is like you're inviting people without making como un
Yep.
espectáculo. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Mm.
Like you're inviting them, like, yeah, you're not gatekeeping
Yep.
this. You're giving more of like, no sé si estoy usando la palabra correcta, pero like, it's like a stewardship,
Mm.
¿verdad? Tú estás como like, that's what we're doing here. Like, mira, esta es la historia,
Yeah.
¿verdad?
Yeah.
Tú no puedes, o sea, you can't, no puedes pelear con la
You
historia. La
can't.
historia
It's
está, ¿verdad?
exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the big thing here, right? Que even la gente que ha vivido en la isla, ¿verdad? Como te dije, like, yo me crié y nací en la
Mm.
isla y yo creo que yo he aprendido más ahora.
Mm-hmm.
I think yesterday you said something about, y yo creo que nosotros hablamos mucho aquí en el pod, como que el hecho de que you learn some things, but you have to de-learn
Yeah.
some things para
100%.
aprender lo real. Y I think this is why this is so importante. Que estos films como el que tú estás produciendo sean y estén aquí, porque en 20
Mm.
años we want people to see
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
¿verdad? Esa persona que está interesada, al igual que yo, que a mis 30 años, decidí, you know what, like, I want to know, now at this age, I want to learn more about where I come from,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
right? And even coming from the island.
Mm.
And I can only imagine for somebody from the diaspora,
Yeah.
right? That, que no tienes esa conexión directa a la isla. Like having these films, I think it's going to bring that bridge, como tú estabas diciendo ayer.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traer ese bridge de que puedan conectar y entender un poco más de la historia.
Mm.
And it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's side quest real quick. Because Josie, you brought it up about age.
Yeah.
Last night there was a lot of like praise of like, for the young
Yeah.
kids and for the
Mm-hmm.
young
Yeah.
kids. And in my demographic of 35 plus, I was sitting there like, yeah, that's true, right? We need the young bulls to get up and like see themselves. But also it is important for us in our age to say, don't put down the fight.
Mm.
Don't forget that you can
Yes.
create at any
Yeah.
age. Like
At any age.
literally in
Mm-hmm.
my notes, I wrote, while I still have capacity over my body, it is on me to make sure that I'm moving.
Ooh.
Like that's just something that I just took down when I jotted it down because it was
Yes.
like I did not have the connection to dance Bomba as a child,
Yeah.
right? The way Mr. Tony is doing with the community for the past
Yeah.
13 years
Yeah.
in Philly.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. But I had salsa, right? I
Mm.
had other elements, but as an adult, I finally was able to connect to Bomba
Mm.
just 6 years ago, right? So that is still on me to like make sure that while I can still make the moves, there's still connection here, and it's okay to seek that at whatever age,
Mm-hmm.
but it's on those who are being sought to be
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah.
don't close the door. Like you talk about like your Spanish not being all that
Right.
good. Like it is what it is. What you have for the moment, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
on us to be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's not how it's said.
Right.
Like, nah, help
Right.
him. Like, nah,
Yeah.
roll your
Mm-hmm.
R's.
Yep.
Right. Right. Say that right.
Say it this way,
Yeah.
right? But it's not on us to be like, ugh, how
Mm.
dare you not know all of the things? It's like you don't know all the things. Like,
Facts.
Right. We don't
Facts.
know. Yeah.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
so it was. First of all, I loved that you had that to say to the young kids because the young man who asked the question about like making the language plain for those
Right.
younger folks to be able to recognize that, and for you to also be like, well, this is my story, and they're going to be able to see that too. They're also going to have to learn as well, right? I have to also educate them on what decolonization means
Yeah.
and tie it to their lived experience, because they're experiencing it, but through this film they're also going to be able to have the connection of naming it.
Mm. Mm. 1,000%.
And so,
Yep.
like, I definitely loved how you answered that
Thank
question
you.
last night too, in that space, because it was I love what he brought up, but I also loved how you connected it as well. So I wanted to make sure that while we was on this side
Yeah.
quest, we wrapped that
Nah, that because
up.
that's definitely important because one of the biggest things that I'm learning even as I grow is like I'm forever a student, right? You got to be open to
Mm,
learning new things and changing and evolving. Like that's what humanity is for, right? Like we are an evolved species. Like we adapt, right, to certain things when it comes. And in the saying in my tradition in Lukumi, there's a saying that says, "Don't ever let your ears go past your head." Right? Always
mm,
allow yourself to listen before you speak, right? And what that allows you to do is again going back to the question is like how do you tell these stories in a way where people are walking away with now the understanding when you put someone like Samuel Lynn in front of the camera because of who he is and how he operates as a black Puerto Rican, I don't need to fabricate the story. The story is coming out through his
right,
voice, right? It's a what matters now is probably how I frame it, but then again, it's all there, right? What do I want the audience to take away from this story? When Samuel Lynn is talking about um it being in his blood, right? That the power of Bomba. People coming into the shop and saying, "Oh, this is too black," right? But they still buy it, they still like it. It really showcases the anti-blackness, but also the usage of what Edie Brown was saying. You talk so much shit about the culture, but you indulge in the things that we bring to the table,
mm-hmm.
right? Like the bacalaitos, like the salsa, like the merengue. Like these are things that are
Yeah.
African terms that then came that we take pride in, but because of white supremacy and anti-blackness, we move in ways that is not really integral. So my job, just telling the story is to provide that layer of understanding for people to then go, oh, that might be something different than what I am used to. Oh, that might be the first time I'm
Mm,
seeing just all black bodies in a film, like period,
for
right?
sure, for
And
sure.
talking about the things that the content now is like, what is the wordplay here? What do I want people to take away from this? And the
Mm,
identity factor is that we would never let our culture get erased because we are still alive and thriving. So for the young people, your job now is to pass the torch and continuously tell the stories of the people that came before you, and then tell your story because that's all we know. You can't fabricate something if you know it, you walk it, you live it. Now get grounding,
right.
and that's where the elders' wisdom come into play.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo creo que algo que yo vi y con los tres, con lo que nos diste ayer, yo creo que es que tú estás contando la historia, pero la estás contando desde el punto de vista de amor. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I feel like tú sabes cómo Loíza, y pongo Loíza porque ayer eso fue lo que me llevé, lo más
Yeah.
que me llevé, ¿verdad?
mm,
Y es como Loíza ha pasado por tan- tanto sufrimiento en un sentido, ¿verdad? En el sentido de que ser marginado,
mm,
like, they're looking like, los miran de una manera diferente,
yeah,
pero son puertorriqueños como tú y como yo,
yeah, yeah.
¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
Y tienen una historia hermosa. El hecho de que la bomba se usaba era lo único que tenían nuestros antepasados para poder pelear,
Mm,
¿verdad? Esa resistencia y a la vez usarla como mecanismo para comunicarse. Right? Because
mhm.
that's how they were using it to communicate, to say like, hey,
Yeah,
this is happening,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
también algo que me llama mucho la atención es cómo am, lo usaban también para sentirse joyful, ¿verdad? Y esa era la
Mm.
pregunta que te iba a hacer, like, when you think about like the bomba, what brings you joy of that?
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
Yes, Josie.
Me deja, me voy por un lado.
Dale.
Dale para adelante.
Yo, look.
It was like Wilma said she was deep as the earth core. Josie got
No,
her.
but this is what it's about though, because the freedom in how we are talking shows how much we evolved, right? Just in the terms of conversation. So when I'm hearing you speak, I'm reminded, and I just dawned on me, like we talk about slavery as if like it's just something that just happened to our people, right? Like when we think about it, it's like, yeah, enslaved Africans did this and da da da. Da. What is slavery, right? You know, to be without rights, to be, you know, subjugated, oppressed, right? For who you are, for what you represent, for your identity, right? We're talking about people who didn't have the autonomy, the freedom to go outside, just to live life. The ancestors didn't get to live that. So for the fact that they then created something where I'm not going to speak because the tongue now can get cut.
Yep.
However, the rhythm of my body now is going to flow through me. So yes, it is communication. It's radical communication, actually. It's, oh, we getting free now off the plantation. There's about to be a revolt. Let's gather the troops, right? That is like that is the communication
No,
of
but
the
like that's
exactly,
actually,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. And the way that was presented to me, because again, like I said, I had limited information of Bomba. And so as Josie was saying, when I recognized what Bomba was, I've always seen it on a spirituality side, right? Of that ancestral lineage. When you presented the clips for us, it never even dawned on me that they were communicating to plantation to plantation rhythms, right? I was like, oh, so they had their own weight in the water. Got it.
That part.
Like I was like, and why wouldn't that? And why wouldn't that? Right? Like, and I think you said it like, we is all the same people, just at different stops when we come from the Caribbean, and how slavery and colonization happened. But I went away with that, like, because again, back to the title, La Lengua del Tambor. It has a language. It was saying a lot of things during that colonial time, that slavery time, and also it has a language now.
Yeah. Yes.
That you're also highlighting, right? Like, and what I was telling Josie too is what I hope that once you get with the families, the Ayalas and the Cepedas, is to also talk about the different rhythms of Bomba, because it isn't just one. And those rhythms also have their own language and what they're trying to convey.
Exactly. You see, you already on it. You already on it, co-producer. So when we get into the things that we need to get into, those 7 rhythms of Bomba is going to be explained, but also contextualized in a way where I could really animate what was going on in the plantation, right? Because now we'll have funds to do certain things that the limitations now there we can surpass them. And that's what community that's where community comes in. And what is the concept of the name for me. I'm always into poetic, so I'm just like, yo, this would just be fire. Let's name this. La Lengua de Tambor, like La Lengua de Tambor is a film that is not just a Puerto Rican story, because the drum is universal, right? The drum is saying today that we are still here. It's still honoring the rhythms and the beats and the hands that touched it, right? It's calling us back to memory first and foremost, and then it's calling us back to body when you invite the dancer. It's asking us to literally listen to what we've inherited as a people today, and it's also reminding us that our culture is not an aesthetic, it's survival, right? So like when we talk about these things, I'm always trying to remind myself of that, and then it's always going back to when you present something so raw like that, people who might have a different political view, or who might not understand blackness the way that we want people to understand our blackness, or our Latinidad, they have nothing but they have nothing but to see themselves watching the beauty of our resistance, and to walk away understanding what it took to even be here today to present something like this.
Whew. And like I told Josie last night, not everybody can come. So
Not
if
everybody
they don't
can
get it, then
come.
they don't get it.
You know, I wanted to say that. You feel me? Like
I knew
really
you was
did.
in it. I knew you was holding
I was
it
like, can I say this? should I say this?
Yes, you can.
Right? Why not?
I said it for you. I told Josie, I said, not everybody can
Not
come,
everybody
okay?
can. Not everybody invited to the cookout. Like, you feel me? And
For
that's
sure.
okay. Like, and it's been okay. Why? Because we weren't invited, and I feel like if we was invited, we probably wouldn't want to go, right? But still,
I do not want to eat bland food, so no.
facts. I think being a filmmaker, I joke about this, but I'm so serious. It's to make white people uncomfortable when they watch my shit, right? Because
I love that for
we
you.
normalize, like, we really normalize Black death and trauma in mainstream and in the academy, right? And I think part of when being from North Philly, people would think, and when I'm in filmmakers world and in terms of industry, people will look at me and try to still
Like little
little
boy
boy
you,
me,
like.
misrepresent me, and then I hit people with, oh, like, you must not know I'm trained, like I study film, like I
Talk
understand,
your
like,
shit.
I know the academy. I understand what the birth of a nation was. I understand what the Black exploitation movement did for the academy. It saved Hollywood. So I can hit you with some facts. And then I think when you are in a position to understand story and concept in filmmaking, and then be able to create something like this, you already are making stuff that is going to make people upset because it's not the norm of what whiteness has created. So
For
we,
sure.
for so long,
Or it's not joy in their
it's not
lens, right?
joy
It's
in
not joy
us.
after so much
Nah,
suffering and
so
trauma.
much.
We get the 2.5 seconds cue Faith Evans song
It's yeah, it's
about
like
the wrap up.
animation, and we talking about live format. When I say live, I'm meaning like human characters. When you get into animation has a really racist evolution when it first started, right? And then you think about the tropes of when you think about Captain America, right? Captain America was really invented and it was brought internationally because what it did was, when you are indoctrinated into watching a screen where you see Captain America come on the propaganda, you start to really identify with this USA soldier. And this USA soldier is somebody that is saving the lives of people. So now when the American soldiers come to literally do genocide on your people, you looking at them as savior because you've been watching films to literally, like, brainwash you into saying that this is okay. Animation did that with the three caballeros when I think they invaded they invaded South America. um and just there's just so many layers of, like, how the freedom that white people have to tell stories, and what they do with stories is they always put us as the janitor. And when you talk about Spanish film, colorism is a big thing. When you look at
I mean, the
telenovelas,
novelas.
exactly. When you look at the novelas, look at the Black characters, the janitors, right? The helpers,
Or the
the
indigenous characters, right?
indigenous.
There's always some
Yeah,
voodoo aspect. There's always some comic relief.
exactly.
They're never really honored
Yeah.
in a way, or they're like, mammified in some
Yeah,
capacity, right? Like
Jezebel, or like
it's
the
yes,
thick
it's
lips.
never like
Mm,
the same way. Like I remember watching telenovelas with my mom when I was a kid, and I'd be like, "Why the Mexicans on Federal Street don't look like this? I'm
yeah,
so confused.
that part.
Like they're mad white." Like, and she'd just be like, and she would tell me like sometimes these are not Mexican actors, they're from other
Yeah.
countries, but like that was her limited explanation. But now it's like, oh, there was a European centered lens as to what was being shown to us, and you're right, like right, the representation is important and it matters. But I think one thing that you hit on the head earlier in your response was making white people uncomfortable
Mm,
is important in what you're doing because it doesn't center them anymore.
yeah. And that's where you get from that.
It's and when you do show them, you show them as their authentic selves in that time period, right? Like you brought slaves over here, you
Yeah.
didn't go and get them, you brought them over here,
Facts.
and subjugated them
Yeah.
and stripped away from them. And this tambor, which is there was their resistance, their communication, their joy, and so many other things, still survived in spite of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Y eso es lo que yo
Oh
iba a
my
decir,
God.
¿verdad? Porque yo sé
Hmm.
que tenemos que, como ustedes están mencionando, hacerlo incómodo, pero de misma manera también tenemos que ser incómodos a nuestra propia cultura, a nuestra propia gente. ¿verdad? Porque nuestra propia gente por muchísimos años se bebieron el Kool-Aid, ¿verdad? Entonces,
Yeah.
¿cómo nosotros sacamos a la gente de que se beban ese Kool-Aid? Espérate, ese no es el Kool-Aid que te tienes que estar bebiendo, es this one, ¿verdad? O simplemente abrirle los ojos, decirle, like, espérate, like, hay más a la historia. Le sacaron páginas al libro. Estas son las páginas del libro que le sacaron. Estas son las páginas que tenemos que leer en realidad. And I think that's what you're doing con esto. Y yo creo que más allá de hacer uncomfortable a alguien, yo creo que tenemos que hablarle primero a nuestra cultura, a nuestra gente, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Porque muchos, como te digo, yo me sentí tan vista con tu film y no está terminado, ¿verdad? Me sentí tan vista porque en las facciones me siento identificada porque esa soy yo, right? De ahí es donde yo vengo, pero no se me enseñó desde pequeña que that's who I am, ¿verdad? Y yo creo, porque again, sacaron las páginas del libro. Y eso yo creo que es lo que tenemos también que tener en cuenta, que más allá de hacer más gente incómoda, yo creo que es enseñarle a nuestra propia gente, esto es quien tú eres, esto es de donde tú vienes.
Yeah.
That holding of the
Exacto,
mirror.
y exacto. Yo creo que de ahí es donde la gente va a decir, like, wait, hay más sobre la historia. Yo creo que, con los social media de la vida que tenemos hoy en día, I think that opens the doors to do so many things, right? A contar las historias de gente que nunca pudo contar su historia, right? And I think that's what you're doing here. Pero yo creo que eso es un punto bien importante que debemos de tener claro, like, más para la gente de la isla como la gente de la diáspora, right? Que entiendan de dónde viene, que entiendan su propia cultura. Y yo creo que eso va a hablar más, va a hablar más que hacer a alguien incómodo. Yo creo que ahí la gente va a coger este proyecto y va a decir, like, you want to know about my history? You want to know where I come from? Here it is. Watch this. ¿Entiendes? And I think that's how we have to see this first before, we can take it. Eso lo va a hacer to another level. Lo hemos visto como Bad Bunny ha usado, y lo vemos, ¿verdad? Porque es un patrón que funciona. Lo estamos viendo con Bad Bunny. Él nunca ha cambiado, él sigue siendo quien es él, y exponiendo ahora que él está a un nivel, dice, now I want to show you de dónde yo vengo, porque él mismo se educó, right? I think that's what we, like that's something that we have to take into consideration a lot and see that.
And you see that ripple effect, right? Like we talked a little bit about Premio Nuestro, and the kid from Colombia, Maluma, was singing, and I'm just like, real the Encanto is here because here we have the scenery is very, hacienda, to that campesino roots of his country. And I'm like, we tapping in because you recognize that you don't have to whitewash yourself. You can be authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And that too can get you to your success in the way that you thought the other thing needed to be done. But it definitely takes a pioneer to do that. And I think that, to Josie's point, it's not necessarily fully about making other people uncomfortable, but that is also tenets of white supremacy, right? The unlearning of things within our own people, of recognize, because me and Josie had conversations, like the inception of this pod. I remember asking her, like, yo, what they teach you in school in Puerto Rico? And she just was like, she was naming American history. I'm like, so you learned about George Washington? He didn't even know what a Puerto Rican was or a dinosaur. Like, what is you talking about?
Talk about
and she was like, that's what we learned. And I'm like, so what about like Stromberg, and what about
like,
like
the actual Puerto Ricans?
And she was like, they would touch on it, but like they didn't like glorify it. It was kind of like how we very gloss over the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X in Black History Month. That's what they did with her. And I just always found that so fascinating, because I would have thought that they would have taught a lot of Puerto Rican history. And she was like, in some ways, you get the Spain colonized us, then American colonized us, and then we move forward. And then, like, natives is touched on for a little bit. Slavery is touched on for a little bit, and then it goes on and goes on. And I was always like mad flabbergasted by it, because I was like, wait.
I mean, even when you're starting about, I remember being in 6th grade, 7th grade, learning about just los nombres de la isla. Like, why are we learning about that in 7th grade?
Right,
So
right.
that shows
It's
you
so crazy.
so that shows you that there's a lot of información y educación que es necesaria para nuestra propia gente. Por eso lo estaba diciendo, right? Because cuando
Yeah.
tú
For
estás
sure.
estudiando los pueblos en séptimo grado, eso es un problema. You know?
Mm.
For sure. Like mind you, and for us, we learn capitals like second
Right,
grade. Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay,
it's crazy.
Montpelier.
It's
Exactly.
really crazy to really talk about and get into, because as I'm listening, I'm taking it in, receiving, when we talk about these things, I look at the system of education and what's the point, right? Understand, for me, I feel like once you understand white supremacy, everything kind of connects. Because now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we understand that this country was built on the hands of, the enslaved, the hands that were took, the hands of our people, right? To help build a nation that never valued us, never cared for us, right? Education is the one thing that could get you scholarship. So if they are raising their own kids, they're going to create a academic system to benefit who they are. That's why the
Mm.
SATs is talking about golf and shit, and people in the hood ain't never golfed in their life. Or
Right,
so
right.
it's like it's
Or
benefiting.
the only golf course they know is the one that's trying to push them out the neighborhood.
Exactly. So it's like education is also a system that weaponizes white supremacy in a way where it keeps us boxed in. And
For sure.
and once you understand the language of what that is, you are now able to start questioning every single system that exists now. Because it's like, how are we learning about people who kidnapped people and created things off of genocide and violence and rape? Those are the founding
And then made us
fathers.
3/5 of a
Three
person.
fifths of a person. Second, what is it? Second class citizenship for Puerto Ricans. Puerto Rico can't
Mm-hmm.
even vote. We are a territory of the United States.
Mm-hmm. We got a governor, Deacon,
¿Quién?
Right. So it's
a
like,
¿Quién?
governor.
¿Quién?
what is the right, exactly. What is what is the point? And then I think like that it's all to keep us indoctrinated, to keep us brainwashed, to keep us navigating the system of capitalism, to keep us on our toes. Like, I need to do
For
this, but
sure.
it like the culture of violence of the hood, it was constructed because
Mm.
people, black, Puerto Rican, Latinos, we couldn't get housing loans like white people did. The banks didn't want to offer
Yeah.
us a housing loan.
Redlining affected us too, just
Exactly.
as
So
much as
that's
it did
how
our black brothers and
that
sisters.
part. So that's how the ghettos are created. So it's like when you put people in a survival mentality, then crime starts to happen, and then you get mass incarceration. So it's just so many things that all cohesively come together to show how far they are willing to go. Slave patrol turned into policing. Nowadays, mass
Right.
incarceration, well, segregation, mass incarceration, all of these things are systems put in place to keep us where we at. And in return, what that does to the white person is allow them to do whatever they want. So they create films that repeat the same pedagogy, the same ethos of
Mm-hmm.
language, right? So you will always see the black person working, either the Puerto Rican working, the Mexican working, right? The white person being the star, the hero, right? The savior, the white complex of trying to tell a story, and you need the white savior because why? The white man always wins at the end. There's so many films like that.
Or they're so benevolent, right? Like
Yeah.
they of course they could. And I think that to bring it back to the film, I think it's important to counteract that with this is our own, right? Like
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, it may touch on slavery, but it's not going to stay
It's
there.
not.
It's going to maneuver
Yeah,
in
it's
a
not.
space where Loíza is
Yeah.
self-sufficient. Loíza has its own culture, um, beautiful beaches, great community. When I think of Lois, I don't think of the stigma of, oh, don't go there. Anytime I was there, I was welcome. It felt like family. Like I said, I randomly was in someone's house. Like
Yeah.
that man answered the phone with my tour guide, and he was like, "Yeah, bring him." And I was
That
like,
yep.
"Wait, what?"
Yep. Yep.
Like,
Yep. The stigma that is around Louisa for me feels more and says more about colonial fear than it does about Louisa. Louisa is not a
for
problem to be
sure.
fixed. It's a culture that's been protecting and preserving itself. Period. So I
But also think about that copy and
yeah.
paste formula. Because I was talking to Josie too. I was like, that was also how I felt growing up in Camden. Like, oh, don't go to North. North is this.
Yeah,
North Philly.
yeah,
Excuse me. North
yeah,
Camden is this. North Camden is
yeah.
that. And I was like, is it
Is it
though?
though?
Like,
Is it though?
is it?
Yeah,
And also, why?
yeah,
Why? It,
yeah,
like, we had a satellite police station there all the time. I'm like, so you telling me where the police stay is crazy? That's wild,
yeah.
right? So let's think about that. And then even now, as a transplant to Philly, I've only worked in North Philadelphia,
Mm,
and so to see it through the lens of community on my end of working in social services, um, vibrant community. I, the people who come into the agency who need help, I look at them and they could be my titis, my grandparents, whatever the case is, and it's very much like, oh, this was by design. You wanted us to be disconnected. You wanted us to have this fear and stigma. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's rainbows and butterflies in these spaces, but that rainbows and butterflies was also put there by design.
mm,
Excuse me, that lack thereof of
mm-hmm,
rainbows and butterflies.
mm.
And I think that also stems to Loíza too, right? Like what you were saying about all of these things about white supremacy as it attains to here in the States and other areas. It does attain that to Loíza of it benefits someone that this stigma is over this town.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because then we don't have to invest it.
Then yeah.
Because then we don't
Why
have
care?
to
Mm-hmm.
put any right. I mean, when I was there in 2019, they were protesting. I believe they wanted to put like some fast food restaurant there, and the people was like, no, like we literally make our money selling authentic food here,
Mm,
and the government responded with not picking up their trash.
mm, mm. That's
And
crazy.
I was just like, wait, what?
It's so
Like,
many things that just exist in the books that when you just keep on reading and learning and attaining, you be like, wow, they really did this. Like, and they continue to
for
do this.
sure.
And when I think about like, and I promise this is gonna make sense. And I'm gonna go back. I'm a segue real quick and then I'm gonna come back because I think this is really important. And as we talk about this, when you showcase films that always have a white princess or a hero that is white passing, what does that do to the Puerto Ricans watching? It doesn't allow us to see ourselves, right?
For
So when
sure.
you see a film like La Lengua del Tambor and you got some complexion and you moving through space and time as you do, you now get to see yourself on screen and be like, wow, like I exist beyond my
Mm.
own capacity of seeing myself when you talk about mirror work. And that's important. We also just need films, and part of my work is also just to create moments, right? Like we need funny Puerto Rican shit. We need films where we dressed up fancy and we just existing and trauma is not the
Mm.
forefront of the story. We could
Or we don't have to be the highest of the elite, right?
yeah,
Like
like
that's another thing too. Like Black excellence or Latino excellence is exhausting.
yep.
Like we don't always have to be the super version of ourselves. Like we have stories too that are authentic to ourselves that I want to see myself in. I don't want the character to be racially ambiguous because you don't know how to write to their actual ethnic
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And like what you said about like the princesses, that tells me when a Puerto Rican is ingesting or a Latino is ingesting that, it brings me back to the Clark test that was
Mm.
given during the Brown versus Board of
Yep.
Education, where these black and brown children, excuse me, black and white children were given to dolls
Yep.
of variations of black and white, and these black babies were basically saying, "Oh yeah, the nice baby is the white
Yeah.
doll, the bad doll is the black doll."
Yeah.
And this is a little black girl saying the bad baby
It's
is a black.
it's
So
her.
what does it say? It says, as this age, you've warped your mind
Wow.
into believing that you are not good
Yeah.
enough, that you don't deserve these things. And these were like school age children that were picking out the doll, and it's referred to as a doll test. It was inserted as an amicus brief into the Brown versus Board of Education decision for segregation in education. That always stuck with me because I was like, if these children have only been up to like first grade at best, can already decide for themselves that seeing themselves in any reflection is not good enough, what does that do for the rest of their lives? And how do you unlearn that?
Yeah. Some
Right? How do
powerful
you
stuff.
unlearn that damage?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what it is, a damage.
Yeah.
The same thing can apply to us in Puerto
Yeah.
Rico. It
Good.
is a damage to
Yeah.
us to not learn our history accurately, to not
Mm.
be given the tools to express,
Mm.
and to feed into the propaganda that this other entity was some savior to
Yeah.
us.
That's good. That's good. Yep.
And if they were the savior, they were also at the helm of the problem.
Mm. Mm.
That doesn't always get talked about as well.
Doesn't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm here for all of that. I'm here for all of it.
So we are excited to first and foremost see the finished product, make
Yeah.
sure that it gets done. When Ant is talking about co-producers, he was letting us know because it was a fundraiser event, the screening. So we purchased a ticket. Everybody who was there purchased a ticket, and the funding to continue the concept to proof of to make it all the way through. So we're gonna also share the links. So
Mm-hmm.
when folks hear this, if you want to, by all means, please donate whatever you can.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because these stories are important, and I think that there's a mindset that someone else is going to do it,
Mm.
right? Someone else in an
Mm.
established way is going to do it, and they're not.
Yeah.
These stories are meant to be told for us, by us, but we also have to support us.
Mm.
We can't wait for the glossy version of it from some other entity, because that's where the plot holes are in.
Mm. Mm.
So if this is important to you, if there is a matter of how you connect, please, if you so feel inclined, hit the link when we set it up and give what you can
Yeah.
and look more into his work.
Yeah.
And you are super
Thank you
talented.
so much. It means everything.
Su-
Truly.
Super, super talented. Thank you for saying yes to our DM slide.
Of course, this is, when y'all first reached out, it was a no-brainer. It made sense. Again, I'm a fan. I appreciate what y'all bringing to the table. I respect the
Thank
grind, the
you.
artistry, everything. So it's love, and to just drop a little 1-2 on that as well. I love what yesterday did and what it represented, because it allowed us to dream together as a community. How many times have
Oh, that's
we been able to come
beautiful.
together and literally see something to manifest together collectively? When we talk about collective action, what does that look like, right?
Mm.
Yesterday showed the power of what community can build, and I think that that's really important as we continuously move forward. The reason why we are asking for funds is because we understand the sentiments of what this film brings to the table, and I'm grateful that you two were able to witness the poetics of what it is, because it's been hard trying to find backing, sponsorship, because of what the film represents, which is sad, because you
Mm.
would think right now would be a great time to invest into a story like this, showcasing what Bomba is, showcasing the beauty of it, and not stepping away or shying away from denouncing white supremacy and whiteness and colorism and all the things that keep us oppressed as a people. Um, but on the flip side, this is where we show the power in numbers, right? We show the power of what it's like to be able to build collectively together, and no one could take that from us, because that's how we just operate as a people, right? If I'm assuming, Josie,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, you was born in Puerto Rico, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And that's what I was gonna
So,
say too, right? Like in terms of like nosotros siempre estamos unidos
mm-hmm,
y somos bien prideful de lo nuestro, right? Y como yo creo que ayer le estábamos diciendo, tenemos una bandera en todos lados. I think you mentioned it yesterday, like tú representas donde tú vas, tu cultura, de donde tú vienes, pero
uh-huh,
mucho de nosotros a veces no damos ese paso a ayudar a que estos proyectos lleguen a donde
mm,
tienen que llegar. And I think
mm,
that's
For
that's
sure.
where, that's where we have to show more of that orgullo de sí, ese un puertorriqueño filmmaker que está haciendo esto, like yo lo voy a apoyar. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I think
yeah,
that's where
Mhm.
where we have to show que somos realmente
yeah.
prideful de donde venimos. right?
Yeah, a
Y
hundred
que
percent.
la cultura vive, ¿entiendes? La cultura
Mm,
está viva, no la podemos dejar
yes, sir.
morir y que, films como este es lo que nos van a seguir que eso siga sucediendo, que la historia esté ahí para que mi hija cuando crezca tenga una referencia y sea la lengua del tambor una de esas referencias. You know what I mean? Like, ese es el legado que yo como mamá le quiero dejar a mi hija y yo creo que muchos de nosotros tenemos que hacer lo mismo. Like, poner ese legado for our family, for our next
Yeah,
generation and the other generation, that's something there. Y por eso
yeah.
invitamos a todo el mundo a que dé, sea un pesito, 2 pesitos, lo que usted tenga en su carterita, usted viene y donate para que esto se siga
Yeah, yeah.
difundiendo
But
and
what we
more.
always say on the pod, right? Time, talent, and
Yes.
treasure. You might not have the treasure.
Right,
Do you have a resource that you can connect them
right.
with? Do you have the time to give, right? For in exchange of a credit. Like, it's important that we collaborate across, right? Like, we always think collaboration is somebody who's already on top gonna bring, hold the hand out for the ones back to them. We can collaborate across and get it
Yeah,
together. So it's always important to make sure that if you ain't got the treasure right now, what talent do you
yeah.
have? What resource you have? What other connection? You might have a really big following that a retweet could do something.
Facts, facts.
So definitely support can always, yes, we definitely want the dollars by all means. However, common, you could always support in other ways, and it's important that we remember that because I think sometimes too we can feel insignificant in how to make something happen,
Mm,
and we don't take inventory of how useful and our own networks are.
mm, mm, mm. Ashe, ashe.
So, with that being said, you know that we have given you the heads up. We always ask our guests what song represents you this week.
Ooh, this week I'm feeling, the bomberos this week. I don't know. Either that, the campo, the campo song that we opened
Mm,
with. That's how I'm feeling today for sure.
I
And
love
then by
that.
nighttime, I'm feeling I'm gonna still go local. I'm always gonna shout out the people that was singing and bringing their culture. Julio de Hoyo, I think, had a beautiful set.
Yes.
Oh my God,
His
yes.
music is
It's so
fire.
vibey.
Like
Listen,
what?
I felt so identified like yesterday with him. I was telling
Uh-huh.
Wilma when he started singing, I was like, I wonder like if he's like not
Yeah.
born and raised in the island because you like he gave it to
No,
me.
she clocked the
Yeah.
region he was
Yeah,
from.
yeah. When he said I'm
Yeah.
from Rio Piedra,
Yeah.
I
When
was
she
like,
said
of
that,
course you
I was like,
are. You
yep.
know what I mean? Like
Yo. See,
it.
that's why, Baba, I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no,
as
no.
you
Yeah.
are talking, I'm
No,
just
you
getting
good.
happy and excited because I'm like, yesterday was such a mixture. We didn't just give you
Mm-hmm.
bomba. We gave you reggaeton. We gave you
Yes.
contemporary. We gave you salsa. We gave you Afro infused jazz, instrumentation with
Mhm.
saxophones and pianos and that's all through the
Cultura.
Puerto Rican lens
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
music,
Mm-hmm.
of a shared
Mhm.
vibration, right? What
Yeah.
connects us. So I love this question. What is your soundtrack for today? So I'm feeling everything La Lengua de Tambor today.
Love it. Love it.
I
Love it.
love that. I love that. And yes, like I said, the curation of the event, because when he came on, I said, "Oh, I like this." I said, "I want more of this." Like,
Yeah.
and shout out to Josie
Shout out to
because
Josie.
a lot of people don't know is that Josie, for some reason, doesn't always leap forward the way I know that she can.
Hey,
And
yeah.
she leaped forward yesterday
Wow.
and reached out to Julio.
Yes.
And I was just
I
watching. It
love
was like
that.
watching your kid take the
I
first
I
know.
steps.
love
I
Right.
was
that.
like,
Right.
and she,
Yo, I
No,
love that.
it's amazing talent, and
Yeah.
when I saw it, I was like, wow, like this kid
Mm.
has a lot of talent. Um, the la letra, mucha gente
Mm-hmm.
no like decía, wait, what is he saying? And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. Like I know what you're saying. So X, Y, and Z. So it was
Yeah.
awesome.
mind you, people dancing and wiggling.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Dancing, wiggling, and
do you know what he's saying?
yeah, and most of there was definitely people who did not know Spanish. So
Mm-hmm.
what I kept emphasizing with the meetings and like with the people is like we're not gonna shy away from we're not gonna shy away from trying to speak English. Like we just if
Mm,
Spanish is your primary language, your whole set is gonna be in Spanish. And if you
Yeah.
understand it, you
for
get it, it's
sure.
for you. That's it.
Mhm.
Like
Right, right.
No, he is a
Yeah,
he's
he
a
vibe.
is.
He
vibe.
was
He is.
He's next up. He's next up. He's
Yeah.
next up for
for
sure.
sure.
So
And thank you for introducing it to us, right?
yeah,
Because had we not been at this screening, we wouldn't have gotten in contact with him and learned more of his artistry. So that's also
yeah.
dope. The connections that were made last night as
Of
well.
course, of course. And I have to always go on record and say this. Last night is a cultivation of two beautiful people who believed in the vision of La Lengua del Tambor. Isa, who came up with the idea to do a whole concert fundraiser. So she was the plug for performers, which was amazing.
That's
I was the
awesome.
plug with yeah, and I was the plug with Los Bomberos because we did a project earlier in the year. And then of course Gabby who came through with all of the vendors, and it takes people collectively again to build something so big as yesterday. I mean, I think we had 200 chairs sitting in the venue. Every one of them was filled up, and then we also had
And there were some people
people
standing.
Yeah,
standing in the
yeah.
back at capacity. And then we had an intermission and people stayed, and like
Mhm.
that was really beautiful to
Mm,
see. That was really beautiful to
It was
see.
beautiful execute, todo fue, era, tú sabes, fue una experiencia. Yo creo que eso es
Yeah.
lo más importante, que a veces no
Mm.
pensamos que la gente necesita esta experiencia. No simplemente,
Mhm.
like, you can go
mm.
and see un screening, pero como lo hicieron ayer, I think it was the
Yeah.
whole experience, having food, vendors there, like, las diferentes personas que se presentaron. Like, I think it was a
Yeah.
cool experience that I think people, necesitan verlo
Yeah.
más because
For
it was a cool
100%.
experience.
Yeah. That makes my heart happy. It really does.
So we are wishing this project so much
Thank
success.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for saying yes to the
Of
interview. And
course.
also, we touched on a lot. So we might reach out to you for other
Of
topics because I
course.
was
Of
like,
Yes.
course.
oh, he's a Yapasaurus
Yeah,
hyper.
I'm a
We
part
got
of the
this.
Yapasaurus crew if y'all did not know. You know what I mean? We are all yappers here. You feel me? So I'm here, whatever y'all need. And make sure y'all tune into Boricua Culture Mix because this is really important. What you guys are doing is not low key. It's high key. Everybody need to tune into y'all beautiful voices and your energy because what you guys are promoting and what you guys are a representation of is two people who had an idea as a passion project, and you guys are committed, dedicated every time to do something like this, and producing something of quality is that's what we dream of. So like
Mhm.
thank y'all for allowing me to be a part of what you guys are building because this is going to be huge, and I'm super grateful, super honored to be a guest to talk about the things that we talked about today. So I just don't,
Hey, we receive it. We
I
receive
said I
Thank you,
it.
said
thank you, thank you.
of course, of
Thank you so
course,
much.
Y
of
como
course.
Wilma dice, y espérate, porque es que como Wilma dice en todo episodio, sea que tú vivas en la isla o tú vivas en la diáspora, Wilma, ¿qué nosotros somos?
Whether you are on the moon,
Mm-hmm.
the stars, another
Mm-hmm.
planet, you are Boricua enough.
Mm.
And so we want you to take that with you. For those of us who are in the diaspora that sometimes feel like our language wasn't enough or we didn't get passed down the traditions enough, we are Boricua enough. And as much as we have the care to go back and learn, nobody can ever take that from you.
Mm.
So, with that being said, we want you to recognize that, know that your roots are exactly where they are for a reason. And if you want to keep the conversation going, connect with us. We're on TikTok, and Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, Boricua Culture Mix Pod. You can email us at Boricua Culture Mix at Gmail. Dale like, dale follow, dale share. Give us a comment. Keep it cute. Okay, keep it cute. We still two real people, so keep it cute. And we hope to hear from y'all and see you on the next episode.